So every business has this big, grand strategy, right? But success, well, it often comes down to what's actually happening on the ground, day to day. Today, we're going to explore that gap, the one between your high-level strategy and the messy reality of daily operations. We'll break down 5 huge, common mistakes, and more importantly, show you exactly how to fix them.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a question that probably hits pretty close to home for a lot of you. You've poured a ton of resources into these big, powerful systems. You know, your ERP, your CRM, you've got the best tools money can buy. But does the day-to-day still feel like you're just putting out fires? Does it feel, disorganized, chaotic? If you're nodding along, trust me, you are not alone.
So what's really going on here? Well, the problem isn't those big systems you invested in. The problem is what they can't see. We call this the operational blind spot, that huge, crucial space where all the manual, unstructured stuff happens. And that, my friends, is where the trouble really starts.
Let's dive right into the first and maybe the most common mistake of all, the paper trap. It's that all too familiar belief that for simple little tasks, like a visitor log or tracking materials, a paper register is good enough. But as you're about to see, that good enough attitude can be incredibly costly.
I mean, just look at the hidden costs of those simple paper processes. A logbook can get lost. Entries can be smudged, or, let's be honest, deliberately changed. Information almost never gets passed on smoothly when shifts change. And oh man, when it's audit time, trying to make sense of stacks and stacks of paper is an absolute nightmare.
And here's the real danger, the heart of the issue. Paper feels easy in the moment, but that convenience is creating massive blind spots in your operation down the line. You're left with zero real-time visibility and no reliable data to actually learn from. So what's the solution? Well, it's moving to digital registers. And listen, this isn't just about throwing things on a spreadsheet. We're talking about a real system that's designed to capture every single entry with an unchangeable timestamp, link it to a specific user, and even geotag the location. What you get is a permanent, trustworthy record of every single action. Okay, on to the second major mistake. This is a big misconception that often starts way up in the boardroom. It's the belief that your super expensive ERP or CRM system can and should handle absolutely everything. And here's the disconnect. Your ERP and CRM, they're fantastic at what they do, tracking those high-level transactions, the finances, customer data, all that good stuff. But they were never ever built for the nitty-gritty real-time activity happening at your front gate or on your shop floor or between your different locations. That right there, that's the visibility gap.
Now, this is really important to understand. The goal here isn't to rip out and replace your ERP or CRM. No way. It's to complement them. The right tool acts like a bridge, capturing all that ground-level data and feeding it back into your main systems. It actually makes your existing investments even more powerful.
And this leads us perfectly into our next 2 mistakes, which are really just 2 sides of the same coin: losing systemic control. This is what happens when you allow uncontrolled movement of people and things, and when you rely way too much on just a few key individuals.
So what happens when your operations just run on trust and verbal instructions? You get these kinds of risks. Without a system, who's really responsible for approving a visitor or a material shipment? And when a dispute over a delivery happens, it's just one person's word against another's. And here's the scariest one. What happens when your star facility manager, the one who knows everything, retires? All that crucial operational knowledge just walks right out the door with them.
So how do you fix this? You put a clear, systematic process in place. It all starts with giving every single person and every item a digital pass. Then, you automate approvals with clear notifications so nothing gets missed. You use something simple like QR codes to verify you're tracking the right person or asset. And finally, everything is stored in one central role-based system, which means you have continuity even when people change.
All right, our final mistake. This is one that so many businesses underestimate until it's way too late. I'm talking about the audit nightmare. This is all about the hidden costs of bad record keeping when it's time for compliance and reporting.
Oh man, we've all felt this pain, right? An audit gets announced and suddenly it's this frantic, all-hands-on-deck scramble to find paper logs from 6 months ago, trying to make sense of inconsistent notes, and spending days, sometimes weeks, preparing data that you just hope is accurate. It's so stressful, and it's shockingly expensive when you think about all that lost productivity.
Just look at the contrast between the old way and the new way. It is night and day. Instead of a frantic search for visitor logs, you get an instant, downloadable report. Boom. Instead of trying to reconcile messy notes on material tracking, you have an unchangeable, time-stamped record. Audits stop being this huge, disruptive event. They just become a routine, on-demand process.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. We've seen the problems, we've walked through the solutions. The ultimate goal here is to bridge that operational gap and finally move your organization from a state of chaos to one of real control.
So here's the key takeaway I really want you to remember. Your biggest operational risks, they're probably not where you think they are. They're not lurking in your big strategic enterprise systems.
No, they come from the small, everyday manual tasks. The visitor log, the material gate pass, the security check. It's all the little things that when you add them all up, create your biggest vulnerabilities, simply because no one owns them in a structured digital way.
And when you fix this, you get to build your entire operation on a brand new foundation. A foundation that's built on 4 incredibly strong pillars: reliable data, complete traceability, systemic control, and clear accountability for every single action.
So if there's just one thing to take away from all this, let it be this. It is time to stop managing your daily operations on fragile things like trust, somebody's fallible memory, and stacks of paper.
And instead, it's time to start managing them on the strength of concrete data, undeniable traceability, and systematic control. That is how you finally close the blind spot.
And so, that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look at your own daily processes, really look at them. Is your organization ready to finally gain true visibility and close its operational blind spot for good?